our citizens and for the world as well. We are joined by a distinguished panel of experts. In the studio, we have with us Dr. Shivani Verma. Dr. Verma, welcome. She is Associate Professor with the MET Institute of Space Science and Technology. Let's begin by, summarizing this historic day, this historic launch as well. Chandrayaan 3, we have had Chandrayaan 1, we have had Chandrayaan 2 as well. Their importance, their significance was unique. So is Chandrayaan 3. But in what sense, in what terms is Chandrayaan 3 unique for India and the Indian space community?
Okay. So first of all, I would like to congratulate all the Indians, ISRO, for such a big moment. We have actually achieved something. So we had a lot of expectations from Chandrayaan 2 mission, and just due to a minor software glitch, we could not achieve actually what we intended to. But okay, so we could not achieve what we intended to. But yes, from Chandrayaan 3 mission, just 4 years after Chandrayaan 2, ISRO has done it again, and this holds a lot of importance for our space sector. Our space sector is growing like anything. We have joined the race of nations who claimed soft landing. So after 3 nations, after the United States, Russia and China, India will be the 4th country to successfully implement soft landing on the moon. And yes, first nation to land on the south pole of the moon. So that's a big moment for Indians, a very proud moment for all of us.
Okay, well begin is half done, but there are a lot of stages involved from here onwards as well. We heard from the control room also, and the ISRO chief and other scientists were also mentioning about various maneuvers which will take place, the earthbound maneuvers, the lunar-bound maneuvers when the satellite enters the lunar orbit as well. So how many maneuvers and how critical and significant will those be, and at what stages?
Okay. So it is true that whenever a satellite is launched, it is not that in a single go it will land at the destination. There are a number of phases, there are a number of maneuvers involved. So here also we are having 3 phases. One is Earth-centric phase, that is the first phase. Second is trans-lunar, when we shift to lunar orbit, and the last phase is the lunar-centric phase. So in each phase we are having number of orbiting maneuvers. Like our Chandrayaan 3 has been successfully inserted into the parking orbit. So that is around 178 kilometers nearer to the Earth and 36,500 kilometers far from the Earth. So slowly orbit raising maneuvers would be done to take it more close to the lunar surface. After all those 5 orbit raising maneuvers, we will be entering the transit lunar. Right? So we will be moving more close to the lunar surface, which will be followed by another 5 maneuvers, which will bring our Chandrayaan 3 module up to 100 kilometers height from the lunar surface. That is a point where we would be proceeding for the soft landing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So all these maneuvers will be important.
हम कह भी रहे हैं कि सिर्फ हर भारतीय की नहीं बल्कि पूरी दुनिया की नजरें थी चंद्रयान 3 के प्रक्षेपण को लेकर, जैसे सफलतापूर्वक आज लॉन्च किया गया है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू सभी ने बधाई दी है सफलतापूर्वक लॉन्चिंग को लेकर। जो एक बड़ी बात थी विशाल, और डॉक्टर शिवानी से ये समझना भी चाहेंगे, सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग को लेकर, और उसमें बात हो रही थी कि जिस कमी की बात थी, कहा जा रहा था थ्रस्टर में कुछ दिक्कत थी, उसे लेकर किस तरह से काम हुआ है, क्योंकि सबकी नजरें उसी सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग पर होंगी अब।
यस, एक्चुअली सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग ही बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारे चंद्रयान 3 मिशन के लिए। तो इन एज कंपेयर टू Chandrayaan 2, we have inserted more robust mechanism in Chandrayaan 3 to enable this soft landing. The launching pads वो ज़्यादा robust हैं. We have inserted one more leg into the rover to enable that soft landing. Plus, we are having the retro velocity mechanisms. Lot of sensors have been included जो velocity को continuously monitor करेंगे, उसे right time पे reduce करेंगे so that the landing is soft. It is not hard. That was there in Chandrayaan 2. So the last minutes in Chandrayaan 2, जब हमारी velocity reduce होनी चाहिए थी, that actually provided a greater thrust. So maybe that thing went wrong over there. But in Chandrayaan 3, we are more attentive in that. We have lot of velocity sensors and we have additional mechanism जो कि landing को soft करेंगे.
Okay.
So probably that would succeed. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And in any case, we'll be getting a huge amount of data from Chandrayaan 2 sensors as well, you know, the data which is being put to use. Now that we're talking about the launching phase, let's also talk about the heavy lift launch vehicle, LVM-3. The ISRO chairman also, you know, mentioned the significance and importance of how successful LVM-3 Mark 4 has been, M4. So what's the journey there? And then, you know, what can we look forward to? Because, you know, the chairman of the concerned department was also pointing out that this is a continuous development.
Yeah, so that is like with this Chandrayaan 3 mission, once again LVM-3 has proved that yes, it is appropriate, no, it is very good for future missions as well. Its probability to be used in Gaganyaan is more as compared to the previous missions, right? So LVM-3, that is Launch Vehicle Mark 3, it is capable of lifting very heavy loads, and it is called LVM-M3-M4. So that is the 4th successful mission it has completed. So it is very critical in this Chandrayaan 3 mission.
Okay, okay. Another aspect, and that is very, very important, and a difference which we see between Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3 is the tracking mechanism. Now, this time around in Chandrayaan 3, it's being entirely done by ISTRAC. In Chandrayaan 2, we saw that, you know, it was being done with the help of foreign space agencies as well. So that also is a very important, you know, movement in terms of what we are doing indigenously vis-a-vis space technology. Which areas are we gaining that momentum? Are we moving ahead? And tracking technology is again an important aspect.
Yeah. So whatever data we would be getting from rover on the lunar surface, that would be communicated to ISRO, which would actually help us in knowing more about the space environment over there. Yes, we are having Indian Space Deep Network, which would be helping us in getting the data from the lunar surface. We are having a 32-meter antenna, which will be helping us in getting that data and analyzing it. But yes, then we are having a lot of collaboration on an international level, thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji. So the whole world is actually collaborating with us when we are working on Chandrayaan 3. We are also getting help from European Space Agency. They would also help us in getting the data from the rover through ESOC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Preeti, Dr. Surendra Pal is also joining us here on the show.
फॉर्मर डिस्टिंग्विश साइंटिस्ट हैं इसरो से, हमारे साथ डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र पाल हैं. बहुत बहुत स्वागत आपका सुरेंद्र पाल. डॉक्टर पाल, थोड़ा समझाइए, क्योंकि चांद को लेकर हम जानते हैं कि कितना एक तरह से रोमांच और कितना रुचि है भारतीयों की चांद को लेकर, लेकिन जब वैज्ञानिक नज़रिए से हम चांद को समझते हैं, क्यों इतना ज़रूरी है हमारे लिए चांद? अगर एक तरह से देखें तो चीन, इजराइल और भारत के अलावा जापान भी चांद पर जाने की तैयारी में लगे हुए हैं. क्यों इतना ज़रूरी है? और जिस दक्षिणी ध्रुव, जिस दक्षिणी छोर की हम बात कर रहे हैं, एक तरह से उसे जानना इतना ज़रूरी क्यों समझा जा रहा है?
पहले तो हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि चांद जो सेलेस्टियल बॉडी है, नियरेस्ट सेलेस्टियल बॉडी है. पहले ये माना जाता था कि चांद पृथ्वी का टुकड़ा है. अभी तक ये समझ में नहीं आया कि चांद की उत्पत्ति कैसे हुई. और अब ये जैसे पहले बहुत से स्पेस मिशन गए हैं, उनसे मालूम पड़ा कि चांद के अंदर मैग्नेटिक फील्ड नहीं है. और मैग्नेटिक फील्ड मीन्स उसके अंदर आयरन कंटेंट इतना नहीं है जितना अर्थ में है. अर्थ के अंदर मैग्नेटिक फील्ड उसकी वजह से है. तो उससे चलता है इसकी उत्पत्ति कुछ और चीज से है. पहली बात तो ये है. दूसरी बात ये है कि आपने कहा कि साउथ में क्यों है. साउथ में क्या है कि वहां पर देयर आर क्रेटर्स एंड इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड दैट देयर मे बी वाटर इन दोज क्रेटर्स. Another thing, inclination, जो उसके जो inclination है orbital का, it's such that you get maximum light in that area and it becomes quite useful for us. दूसरी बात है कि चांद के अंदर अगर मान लीजिए what we see is the near side, अगर हम far side जो कि dark side भी कहते हैं, वैसे वो dark होती नहीं है. dark side में देखिए, अगर उस तरफ हम कोई लैंड करें, जैसे चाइना लैंड किया था, और जैसे वहां से जो न तो ऑप्टिकल नॉइज होती है और न इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक नॉइज आती है जो कि रियर साइड में आते हैं. तो अगर वहां पर अगर कॉलोनी स्टेब्लिश किया जाए या स्पेस स्टेशन स्टेब्लिश किया जाए, जो चाइना सोच रहा है 2030 तक, तो बहुत कुछ क्या मतलब ये यूनिवर्स की उत्पत्ति कैसे हुई उसके बारे में पता चल सकता है, उसके स्टडी करने में बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होता है। तो ये चीजें बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट चीजें होती है जो होती है। एक चीज और जो मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, ये जो अभी हमने मिशन भेजा है, जो हमारा आपका जो प्रोपल्शन मॉड्यूल है, उसके ऊपर एक पेलोड है दैट विल एनालाइज द लाइट फ्रॉम द अर्थ, यू नो एंड फ्रॉम दैट एनालिसिस वी कैन फाइंड आउट कि अगर दूसरी जगह से हम लाइट किसी और उपग्रह से या किसी और सेलेस्टियल बॉडी से लाइट आती है, वहां पर लाइफ है या नहीं है, इस लाइट को एनालाइज करके उसको कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग कैलकुलेट करके हम कर सकते हैं। तो इसकी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है। सो मून की इंपॉर्टेंस तो बहुत है साइंटिफिक व्यू से, और find out how the universe was developed, how it came into existence, how things came, and it can act as some sort of station to go further into deep space. And another thing is, you must have heard about helium-3. If we can mine the helium materials, earth materials which are not found on Earth, if we can mine from moon, they will add to our total, what you call economic of the mankind. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Dr. Pal, stay with us. We're also joined by another distinguished guest, Dr. W. Selvamuthi, former Chief Controller R&D of DRDO, is with us. Dr. Selvamuthi, welcome to Sansad Television. On this successful launch, sir, of Chandrayaan 3, which we witnessed just a short while ago, and we heard the entire scientific community, those comments coming in from ISRO chief and other senior scientists as well. What we're trying to understand here is the significance of Chandrayaan 3 in scientific terms, as well as in terms of the Indian space achievement or India's achievement in the sector of space technology.
First of all, let me congratulate all Indians. Today is a historic moment in which we had a very successful launch of Chandrayaan 3. And this is a textbook type of launch which has been demonstrated with precision, the predicted trajectory, the velocity, and everything as was predetermined has happened. So the launch, well begun, is half done. So the mission is almost going to be successful with the good beginning which we have made today. It's a historic moment. I can see the excitement of those who are sitting there, who are watching across the globe, not only in India. So this is going to be an important milestone in the Indian space science and technology. And in this mission, we are doing two things. One is to demonstrate the scientific and technological prowessness, scientific acumen, because you need a lot of science which gets into the whole system and system of systems, right from materials. What type of materials one has to use to withstand the vagaries of those space environments, low temperatures and all other cosmic radiations and so on. So material selection is proven so that all this systems, subsystems, components, devices, everything has to withstand that vagaries. The next thing is propulsion. You need to have, if you have to reach the moon, that distance of almost 4 lakh kilometers, and how do we propel a body of 6 tons or that kind of weight to the lunar surface and lunar orbit? So you need propulsion. So you have the solid propellant as well as the liquid propulsion. So this is the propulsion. And again, the separation should occur of these different stages, precision separation, so that you are optimally utilizing the energy in the system. So this is yet another important thing, is the propulsion. Then you need to have control and guidance, because once you predict a trajectory, that the spacecraft has to precisely travel in that the trajectory. So this is yet another challenge, to have the control of the movement of the spacecrafts. Control, guidance. You need to guide at the right target to the right orbit, and also navigate. So navigation. So all this involves, you see only a rocket going up. I want to tell the viewers, a lot of science goes into this, a lot of technologies go into that. Then you need to integrate all the payloads into the propulsion system. You need to put the payload into landers, rovers. It should be rugged and robust. so that it can withstand even some impact. So all these are calculated, simulated, modeling and simulation takes place.
Okay.
So we do a lot of testing in the ISRO before it is actually the launch takes place. Then after that, you need to have also to control the velocity. When it is descending, the lander is descending. This is what failed in the last minute of this Chandrayaan-2, that we were not able to slow down the lander. So it had a hard landing and then we lost the mission. But now this time, all those glitches, which has been seen, analyzed very thoroughly, meticulously by ISRO scientists, have been corrected, retested again and again. And now they have put redundancy, they have reduced, the optimization of weight has been done, and the thrusters have been put all right, the legs on which the lander is going to land on the moon's surface is also now made is rugged, and also the area of landing has been widened for the landing. So all these precautions have been taken. I can predict, I can vouch as a scientist from the DRDO and also now from the academy, from Amity University, who has seen the development in the space research in India. I can vouch that the mission will be successful and you will land on 23rd August as well, 23rd August, the predicted time in the evening around 5:30 or 5:45.
Okay.
So this is, again, these are calculated timings, so it will precisely match.
Dr. Selvamurthy, you spoke about the payloads there, and of course, that will involve a lot of maneuvers in between also, as Dr. Shivani was earlier explaining in terms of the earthbound maneuvers and lunar maneuvers. But coming on to the payloads, the two kind of payloads it's carrying, one is lander payload and the rover payloads as well. What does it carry, and then what will it do for us when the payloads land on the lunar surface or the moon surface?
I will tell in simple terms for all the viewers, not using technical jargons. The first thing, you need to understand the terrain of the lunar surface in the South Pole where we are going to land. So one would be to map the terrain features. The second will be the temperatures, because temperature variation is so huge with time. So there will be a payload which will be measuring the temperature variation. So the physical and the temperatures which will be monitored, because if you have to do some experiments there, you need to understand the environment. Then you also need to know what are the minerals available over there. So there will be another probe which will be probing into the minerals. Then there will be another probe using lasers. You will be able to look deep and then see whether water loading is there in the craters which is available there. So if so, the nature of the water loading which is available. Then there will also be looking at the gases. What are the gases available? Like, for example, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and methane, which is available there, CH4. So all these are very, very important gaseous environment. What type of environment is there? So one is the terrain as well as the physical characteristics, temperatures, minerals, and also the gaseous atmosphere. Then they will also be looking at whether there is any places where there is light. So we will be looking at some places it is complete shadow, and there are peaks where you can have the light, where you can even have solar energy. Almost 300 days in a year, you will have the light available there. So all this possibility will be there. Then the electromagnetic spectrum, the spectral analysis of the electromagnetic field existing there, which you will be able to also measure. So in simple terms, these are the payloads which have been integrated both in the lander and the rover, so which will be giving the total picture which will be required for not only for scientific the analysis, but also it will be required if you have to go there and explore mineral exploration over there. So this will be the technology demonstration of a system landing, soft landing. So the rover would be there doing almost for 14 days, the Earth days, that will be working there, doing the analysis, doing experiments, and real time sending the information down. So all this would happen. So the payloads are very, very important. And these payloads are also have been tested very, very rigorously. Is performing very well.
बिल्कुल, जैसा कहा भी जा रहे हैं डॉक्टर सेल्वामूर्ति कि इंसानी रूप से जो कुछ भी मुमकिन था वो सब कुछ किया जा चुका है। इसलिए चंद्रयान 3 की सफलता को लेकर सभी को बेहद उम्मीदें हैं और जैसा आपने बताया कि 23 अगस्त के दरमियान इसकी सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग होगी, जिसका हम सब एक बार फिर से गवाह बनेंगे। डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र पाल, बहुत सारी बातें हैं जो डॉक्टर सलवा मूर्ति ने बताई है कि क्यों अहम है पेलोड्स को लेकर। उन्होंने बताया तमाम खनिजों को लेकर उन्होंने जानकारी दी कि क्या कुछ हमें वहाँ से हासिल हो सकता है। लेकिन जैसा मैंने आपसे पहले भी जिक्र किया कि भारत के अलावा चीन, इजराइल, जापान और अमेरिका ने कहा था अब हमें मून मिशन नहीं करना, लेकिन वो भी उसमें इतना इंटरेस्ट ले रहा है। बाकी लोगों के चंद्रयान मिशन की बात करें या मून मिशन की बात करें और भारत के मून मिशन की बात करें, बड़ा फर्क क्या दिखता है? हाल ही में एक मूवी आई है जिसके बजट के बराबर हमने चंद्रयान 3 मिशन को लॉन्च कर दिया है। इसके अलावा और क्या बड़ी बातें हैं जो बाकी देशों से हमें अलग बना रही हैं?
देखिए, बात है कि पहला देखिए 1959 के अंदर चालू किया फर्स्ट लूना जो मिशन था इसका, रशिया का, यूएसएसआर का, वो लैंड किया था। देन दे ब्रॉट आउट द मिनरल्स, दे ब्रॉट आउट subsequently some rock pieces, etc. They were analyzed. So the geology of the moon becomes very important. That was one factor at the time. Then Americans went there and they tried to find out many more things, particularly about the geological aspects. Only they wanted to find out what are the minerals found can be there. When Japanese also went there, but they had a similar scientific experiments. When we went for the Chandrayaan 1, we had 11 experiments, out of the 6 were from outside and majority of them from the US, and the ESA, even from the smallest payload was of the size of a matchbox. So we've got many information from there, including water content, the water is existing and the craters and in the moon, in the cracks, there are cracks inside, so moon water exists. That also we found out from Chandrayaan. Then we had a lot of experiments on the Chandrayaan 2 orbiter, which is still working, which is giving a lot of information, including the photographs and other things. Now, Chandrayaan 3 is a complement to Chandrayaan 2. Here the propulsion module, which will take it, and in my opinion, the maximum emphasis is on soft landing. When we soft land, there are, I think, 3 experiments on the rover, and I think 3 experiments on the lander, and 1 experiment on the propulsion module. So propulsion module, in my opinion, that plays an important part, because that will analyzing the light emitting from Earth, and analyzing that light, similar type of lights when emitting from other celestial bodies, we can find out whether life exists or not. That's one thing which we did not do it earlier. Propulsion module. Second thing is what Dr. Selva Murthy talked about the minerals. Also, we have got a Langmuir probe, which will find out what is existing, what we call it atmosphere. Actually, it's not atmosphere, it will be about electrons, protons, etc., whatsoever existing, that what sort of thing is happening. So that will really increase our knowledge about the surface atmosphere, you can call so, of the moon. And of course, about what sort of materials are available, that will give another thing. Also, we are trying to get the exact distance between the moon and Earth at various points. Till now, what we have got is a limited knowledge. It's not that accurate. So this accuracy which we'll get from the distance measuring thing is, it will be better than few meters. So these are important things. These are important variations from the Chandrayaan 2. And when we do the soft landing, it's a big achievement. You know why? Because suppose if you go to Mars tomorrow, Mars has got an atmosphere. You can have a parachute and then put the total payload into some bubble gum sort of thing. What NASA did it, and you can land it. In a place where there is no atmosphere, you want to land, the soft landing becomes very important. And this landing is as if you are in a helicopter. What is expected is when a helicopter lands, what sort of little bit of jerk, fraction of a G only you experience. That sort of thing will be done. And another thing which I see a maximum use is, if we are 100% successful, the rover which is there, that will be a technological achievement. And that it can be small robots which can be used for disaster monitoring, disaster even doing many things in that one. It can go inside. So on the earth, that technology can be improved. So
Okay.
technology which will be outcome of this one, what we call a spin-off, will be many and will be great.
Okay.
So that's what I feel overall thing. It will be a great thing. It will improve our confidence. Confidence to the total country. Even the persons who do not know much about the technology, they also feel happy. One more thing, one question you asked, Shivani, how do we track it? I was the one of the, I mean, actually my team designed the 32-meter antenna dish. We got a 32-meter antenna, we got 18-meter
Uh-huh.
antenna. We also take help of NASA, ESA, deep space networks. So that way it's tracked fully. When it's in the low Earth orbit, our Indian stations will track it 100%. When we go into the lunar transfer orbits, and the corrections have to be done, many corrections have to be done. And at that time only we'll fire the thrusters, etc. So for that, we take the help of NASA, ESA, their deep space network. And the last thing which becomes very critical is when you have a lunar orbit insertion. There are three possibilities exist in such things. Say, if you don't do very accurately, then your what do you call it, Chandrayaan or spacecraft, whatsoever you make name it, it can become a paraboloid, it can crash it, or it should be elliptical. So we want it to be elliptical, then we reduce the, do the maneuvers and bring it to 100 kilometers circular orbit. So these are some of the important things which we have to do it. We have done in the past, and I'm quite sure that we will be achieving these things, and Chandrayaan will be more successful. And
Okay.
what we learn from this one will be useful when we want to go to some other celestial bodies.
Indeed.
Which have got the atmosphere, which don't have atmosphere, which have got a high temperature, like we will be facing the temperature where 180 degrees Celsius. And this will be also useful if you want to send some probes to, say, Venus or Mercury, all those things, which are much hotter.
Indeed, those
So
learnings are
overall
going to be
knowledge
important,
gained.
as you're pointing out, Dr. Paul. Let me bring in Dr. Selvamurthy as well on this. Dr. Selvamurthy, how would you analyze this? Because, with every mission, Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3 now, we add lot more value to our learnings and the systems which we are developing, a continuous process there is. And as Dr. Paul was pointing out, that this particular mission will further, add on to our knowledge repository, which can be then used for our further missions like Gaganyaan, or perhaps, more missions to other planets or celestial bodies as well.
See, whenever you are carrying out such kind of big missions, where you gain 2-3 things. The first is you test your reliability of your complete mission. That is, if you take an example of PSLV, why other countries are coming to our country for launching their satellite is because of the reliability of the missions which we have done. Almost no failure. So this is what we'll be testing. We did Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3. How reliable the whole system, as I said, all those which are involved, subsystems, components, devices. So one is reliability. We are proving again and again that we are able to do this in a very reliable manner. The second thing is the science part that we may be looking at. How did the planetary system evolve? How did by going to South Pole, which is the place where many of those which has been conserved, whether it is astrobiological materials or the biological materials, microbes, everything we'll be able to see. And then what is the age of our planetary system? We may be able to understand from this. So it's just not only minerals and others. Like, for example, Aitken Basin, where the place where we are going to in the South Pole is close to that. And perhaps that's the largest impact basin. Largest impact basin. And so when the impact made, when the planet system evolved, so you will be able to understand the age of the planetary system. Then the craters, when you look at the science craters over there, there's a lot of ice reservoirs over there. So this contains huge amount in a compressed way, the water. It's a water reservoir. So you have a large number of ice. Then minerals. There could be minerals which are even rarer materials could be available there. So we are looking at strategic materials as well as wealth materials will be available, which will create wealth to the nation. So mineralogy is another science we'll be doing. Then the other thing is astrobiology, because we want to understand whether the life has been there and whether methane is one indicator if there has been a biological system over there. So all this will be tested. Then we will also be looking at the fossils, the coal trap fossils, because it has been frozen and it has been totally frozen and remained there in frozen conditions. So you will be able to look at the fossils available over there. So these are all science which will go into this. The other part is technology. The technology part is you can use this propulsion anywhere, whether you want to develop a long-range missile or a reusable missile, or any of those where you want a hypersonic, supersonic propulsion. The learning which you did from this propulsion, you can also have analogy coming into other systems. So technological part, when you look at this, same thing applies to control, guidance, navigation, payload integration, separation. All this is required for even strategic missiles, long-range missiles. So this is a big learning from the technological aspects as well. So one says the science, technology, and then second, the third aspect is we'll be joining the elite club of only 3 nations now. India will become the 4th nation if we are able to soft land at the moon,
Indeed.
on the moon surface. Yes.
बिल्कुल
Indeed, that would be really significant.
बिल्कुल क्या किस तरह की सीख रही है, सबक रहे और किस तरह से हम लगातार और ज़्यादा वैल्यू एडिशन करते जा रहे हैं अपने आगे के मिशन में। फिलहाल इसके बारे में और बात करेंगे आपसे डॉक्टर सिल्वा मूर्ति, तमाम और बारीकियां भी जानेंगे। इस समय अमरेंद्र गुप्ता हमारे सहयोगी हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। अमरेंद्र, हम समझ रहे हैं कि इस समय जो रोमांच था और जिस पल का बेसब्री से इंतजार था उसके हम गवाह बने हैं। राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष ओम बिरला सभी बधाई दे रहे हो। यहाँ तक कि अगर हम बात करें तमाम और ऐसे गणमान्य हस्तियां हैं जो इस समय बधाई संदेश दे रही हैं, पार्टी लाइन से ऊपर उठकर इसरो को बधाई दी जा रही है, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों को बधाई दी जा रही है। किस तरह के संदेश आ रहे हैं?
प्रीति, वास्तव में ये देश के लिए पूरे हम सभी के लिए गौरव का पल है और वास्तव में अगर इतिहास में आज की तारीख को लिखी जाएगी तो ये स्वर्ण अक्षरों में लिखी जाएगी। जिस तरह से आपने बधाई संदेश की बात की, तो मैं आपको बता दूं कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी इस समय फ्रांस के दौरे पे हैं और अभी तकरीबन चंद्रयान 3 को लॉन्च हुए 1.5 घंटा हो गया। अभी थोड़ी देर पहले प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने ट्वीट कर इस पर प्रसन्नता जताई है। उन्होंने कहा कि ये एक इतिहास का बड़ा पल बनने जा रहा है और इसरो के वैज्ञानिकों को बधाई देते हुए उन्होंने इस मिशन की सफलता की कामना की है। उपराष्ट्रपति जगदीप धनखड़ जी की तरफ से बधाई संदेश आए ट्विटर पे। इसके अलावा अगर बात करें लोकसभा स्पीकर ओम बिरला जी की, तो उन्होंने भी बधाई संदेश देते हुए वैज्ञानिकों को और पूरे देश को गौरव के क्षण में, उत्सव के क्षण में शामिल होने के लिए बधाई दी है। इसके अलावा तमाम पार्टी लाइन से ऊपर, जैसा आपने बताया, ट्विटर पर बधाइयां मिल रही हैं। लेकिन प्रीति, मैं सबसे पहले आपको थोड़ा सा रीबैक में लेके जाना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि इतिहास जब बनता है तो ऐसे ही नहीं बनता। अगर आपको याद होगा, जब चंद्रयान 2 लॉन्च हुआ था, उसके बाद जब हम अपने मिशन में थोड़ी सी चूक हो गई थी, जिसमें हम सफल, जिसे कहते हैं सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग, जो हमारा मिशन था उस टाइम हम नहीं कर पाए थे और हार्ड लैंडिंग की वजह से चंद्रयान 2 क्रैश होके वो मिशन हमारा अनसक्सेसफुल रहा, पूरी तरह सफल नहीं रहा। उस समय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का वो क्षण अगर आप याद करेंगे तो देखेंगे उस टाइम के इसरो चीफ के सिवन के पास वो पहुंचे, क्योंकि वो उस समय इसरो मुख्यालय में मौजूद थे। उन्होंने बाकायदा इसरो चीफ को गले से लगाया, ढांढस बंधाया और उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा कि विज्ञान जो है लगातार कार्य करने का काम है। विज्ञान के अंदर जो है असफलता और सफलता नहीं देखी जाती। ये आपका प्रयास है और बहुत सफल प्रयास है, क्योंकि हम वहां तक पहुंच पाए, मिशन मून तक पहुंच पाए। हम अगली बार फिर से प्रयास करेंगे, पुनः प्रयास करेंगे। ये प्रधानमंत्री ने उस समय इसरो चीफ को कहा और पूरे देश को संबोधन किया। उसके बाद अगर आप याद करें, लाल किले की प्राचीर पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने 2022 में पुनः एक बार कहा कि हम पुनः चंद्रयान के लिए तैयार हैं और जो मिशन मून है भारत का वो हमारे वैज्ञानिक करके दिखाएंगे। और ये वो गौरवान्वित पल जब चंद्रयान 3 पूरी तरह से लॉन्च किया जा चुका है और तकरीबन 1.5 घंटे के बाद जिस तरह से आपको मैं बता दूं कि जो चंद्रयान 3 का जो उद्देश्य है, हमें मून पर जाने के अलावा जो इसका जो मिशन है वो आपका सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग से इसका तात्पर्य है। क्योंकि जिस तरह से हमारा पिछली बार का भी चंद्रयान 2 के टाइम पे भी जो फोकस था सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग का था। लैंडिंग दरअसल 2 तरह की होती है प्रीति, एक सॉफ्ट होती है, एक हार्ड होती है। सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग के में हम लोग जब ऊपर जाएंगे तो फिर मून के आसपास जब चक्कर लगा रहा होगा उसके तब हम सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग करने का प्रयास करेंगे। उसके बाद रोवर का काम स्टार्ट होता है। वो रोवर चंद्रयान 3 से उतरेगा और
बिल्कुल ये तमाम चरण यहाँ बैठे मेहमान भी हमें समझा रहे हैं कि किस तरह से जो अब आने वाला वक्त है, एक एक पल, एक एक चरण अपने आप में महत्वपूर्ण होगा। और सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग जिसे माना जा रहा है कि 23 अगस्त के आसपास ये सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग होगी।
And those congratulatory messages which Amrendra was talking about, indeed they convey the spirit with which this successful mission has been taken by everyone, starting from the top echelons of the government, the Prime Minister, the President, Vice President, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, other leaders and dignitaries as well, and the common man. There were 10,000 people present out there to witness this in person, and millions other have watched it live on digital platforms, on our channel, on other channels as well. Coming back to the future part here, and Dr. Shivani, let's wrap it up by trying to understand that future prospects in the sector of space technology, as Dr. Selva-Murthy was referring to it, Dr. Paul was also referring to it. This gives us, these missions, every mission, we learn something. Even from our failures, we've learned and we've improved upon them. And our successes give us that, that strength to move on and then further, discover new elements as well. How significant do you think Chandrayaan 3 will be as a stepping stone towards other, missions, towards other celestial bodies or other planets as well?
So, I would like to say that Chandrayaan 3 mission itself is a result of lot of learning. We have learned a lot from Chandrayaan 2 mission. We have followed up with a lot of sensor modifications, algorithm modification, computational modifications, and we have come up with Chandrayaan 3. Now, the Chandrayaan 3, I would like to say it is basically a technology demonstrator. Once it is successful, we will be able to demonstrate to the whole world that yes, we are capable of soft landing. India's space domain is quite strong. There are a number of other things we can look up to from Chandrayaan 3. The sensors, the payloads which have put on Chandrayaan 3, like on the Vikram, we are having payload as, Chase is there, that is used for temperature management. We are having Ramba, which can be used for analyzing the atmosphere over the moon. Then we are having ILSA, which can be used for analyzing the seismic waves over the landing site, where the rover would be landing. So these data would be very useful for us in all the future missions, because we can take up moon as a platform for our future deep space missions. Further, we can also make use of these techniques when we go for mission to Venus in 2025, or when we plan our Aditya L1 mission. So all the findings of Chandrayaan 3 are going to help us a lot in future. Not only this, we are having a shape payload over the propulsion module, which will be giving us an idea of the spectral and frequency spectrum of this Earth, our Earth's own atmosphere.
Okay.
It will be able to analyze the habitability of other exoplanets. So this success is very important for us.
And a lot of opportunities out there waiting for us to
So this is just a starting.
Just a starting point. And all eyes again will be on 23rd of August now in the evening, when the soft landing is scheduled as of now for Chandrayaan 3. Preeti, that would be again another historic day.
बिल्कुल हम कह सकते हैं कि जिस तरह से गणित की बात होती है, शून्य की बात होती है, तो भारत के जिक्र के बिना कोई भी चर्चा दुनिया में पूरी नहीं होती। उसी तरह जब चंद्रमा की बात होगी तब भारत का जिक्र जरूर होगा। जब वैज्ञानिक इस पर मंथन करेंगे तो भारत का जिक्र उस पर होगा और सबसे ऊपर भारत का नाम आएगा, यही हम उम्मीदें कर रहे हैं। तो 23 अगस्त के लिए हम सभी को शुभकामनाएं एक तरह से। और कहीं ना कहीं
and we'll come back again with all the details as we have brought you all the details, intricacies, the live launch of Chandrayaan 3 as well. We'll come back for the landing also. Stay tuned to Sansad Television, and thank you so much once again to our guests, Dr. Shivani, as well as Dr. Selvam-Murthy and Dr. Surendra Pal also for joining us and sharing those valuable inputs. Thank you.
नमस्कार।
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.